fam, it's Clover. Welcome back to my channel. Thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to talk about the July 2020 spending report. And we're also going to talk about how I lived off of only 10% of my income in July 2020. It's not as impressive as it sounds, but we'll dive into why that is in a little bit. In the meantime, be sure to hit that like button and be sure to hit subscribe if you like hearing about money. So we'll dive right in. Before we do, I do want to give a shout out to what I'm wearing. This is a Life of Yes tank top. I will leave a link to it below. It is not my brand or anything like that, but it is from the creator Mac and Cheese Production, which is owned by Saya Hillman. And Saya, I just want to give a huge shout out to because she is one of the people who have really helped me launch my financial coaching career. And she and I did an I Can't Budget workshop in June. And from that, I was able to secure a bunch of clients. And I just want to give a shout out to support her with this super cute Life of Yes tank top. And I will leave the link to purchase it as well as her website down in the copy below. All right, so in July 2020, I did actually go over budget by $35 whole. I completely blew the budget in two categories, dating and entertainment. And I don't have great excuses other than bougie Chloe was let out of her cage. And I decided that not only would I buy tickets to an amazing concert on a rooftop in River North, but I also decided to spend $200 on a fancy-ass dinner on a guy who was definitely not worth it. That in of itself cost me about $300 between the tickets to the Candlelight concert, which, by the way, great event, totally amazing, even though it was with a douchebag. It was about $45 for each ticket, and you get this amazing socially distant concert on a rooftop in Chicago, and it was fantastic. So that is by Fever. I'll leave a link to it below. I'm not like affiliated with them or anything, but it was just such an awesome experience that I highly recommend it for any like dates or even going out with your friends. And it's nice too that it's a socially distant activity, which is our new reality. So very cool. Definitely one of the funnest things I've done in a while. Then the whole dinner was also an amazing dinner and experience at Cabra, which is one of Stephanie Izzard's restaurants. And if you don't know Stephanie Izzard, she won Top Chef several years ago, and she has several restaurants in Chicago. And the old Chloe came out of her cage and was like, we're just gonna go to Cabra. We're gonna spend $200 on drinks and dinner. And was it worth it? It was very good. It was great. And I think that every once in a while you do kind of need to just like let your hair down and like let yourself be a little bougie and do the things that you want to do and not worry about it. And in a way I was kind of celebrating the fact that my financial coaching business has been really taking off over the last couple of months. And so I treated myself. Yes, I did. And now I'm going to stop treating myself so much so that I can continue to treat myself on the path to debt freedom. So anyway, that was I went over by $100 in dating, and that's only because I kept adjusting my budget. Really, I should have only spent $100 on dating last month, and I ended up spending about $400 freaking dollars like a psycho. What is wrong with me? So I not only got rid of the dude, but I also am taking a step back from spending so much money on dating. So, you know, you live, you learn. I overspent on entertainment, and that is because my sister came into town, and I don't feel bad about that. I only went over by like $20. So I'm totally fine with that. And I also, even though I went over budget in entertainment, I did stop ordering in Grubhub when I was hungover. So that's a win. I wasn't ordering Grubhub as much as I did before. And I did once though. I was hungover and I barely slept the night before. So I ordered in some Fire Cakes donuts because I am trash. Was it worth it? I mean, it's delicious, and I got to watch On the Spectrum, that Dating on the Spectrum show while I ate Fire Cakes donuts, which is a pretty top-notch sundae if you ask me. But anyway, there were some good things about my spending report as well. I only lived off of 10% of my income, and we're talking about pre-tax income. Post-tax income, I lived off about 35%. But the reason that it's not as impressive as it sounds is because of how my paychecks lined up this time. Rent and the extra payments on debt didn't come out. So I really spent about $2,500 less than I normally do in a month only because my paychecks were on weird times in comparison to what they were in my last spending report. So not actually impressive. If you look at the numbers if you thought about like if I put in that rent and I put in that extra cash on debt, then I was living off of like 70% of my income, which is not great. So, and that's post-tax. The other good news is that I made about $1,000 more than I usually do, and so that also helped my numbers as well. Now, I'm not going to go through my entire spending report or even my entire categories. You can check those out up on the website, where I will have all of the things that I spent my money on in July 2020 available for you to go and judge me for. But one exciting thing that I do want to share, and I'll share it right here, look at these numbers. I now have a 6-figure retirement portfolio. That is a big fucking deal. Last year, not even a year ago, I only had $41,000 saved for retirement, and now I'm at $108,000. That is freaking insane. Not only that, back in October 2019, which means 9 months ago, I had a negative net worth. And now I have $73,000 as a net worth. That is insane. And the thing is, it's only in 9 months. And so this just goes to show you how powerful it is, not only paying off debt, but saving cash, investing, and also just living below your means. So those numbers are massive. I'm so excited about it. I'm excited to see the student loan number go down as well. And I'm really just pumped that like all the work that I've been working towards, everything I have been doing is finally starting to pay off. Is it over? No, it's definitely not over. Am I even close to being able to retire? Absolutely not. But if something were to happen and I lost my job or I had a long period of time where I couldn't work, I'd be okay for a while. Even though those aren't investments that I want to touch, it's nice to know that I have these as options. And it's also nice to know that I'm making a dent. Because if I want to retire on $1 million, that's 10%. I already have 10% of my retirement portfolio ready, which means I did that in 2 years. And that means I should be able to do that again. Let's see. If I have 10% of my portfolio every year, that's 5% each year. That means I'm not that far away from actually having $1 million, and I can definitely retire by the time I'm 46, if not earlier. So anyway, I am super pumped about that. The nice thing is, even if I were to only be able to save, so I saved $108,000 in 2 years. I only had $10,000 in my 401k before this happened. So really, I saved about $90,000 in 2 years. And that is $45,000 a year. If we look at just the numbers, it would take me about 20 years to get to the $1 million portfolio that I want to have in order to retire, which means I'm 29 right now. That means I would be 49. The thing is, the reason that I'll be able to retire at 46 if I want to, especially on the path that I'm on right now, is because of the stock market. So every year, the stock market usually returns about 7%, and that's pretty minimal. That's like being conservative, and you can do plus or minus. So yes, 20 years if I never earned any interest, but I'm going to be earning interest along the way, which means I will likely be able to retire by 46, if not earlier. And that is so freaking exciting. So I'm really pumped about that, and it's exciting to see how the numbers have changed, and where I was at 2 years ago with $70,000 in debt and almost no savings versus now. It's just kind of like, it's cool. It's like, okay, I have this shit figured out. Anyway, let's talk about goals. So last month, my goals were to stop eating out alone, especially when I'm drunk and hungover and at home by myself. The second one is to put another $2,000 on debt and refinance my loans. And the third one was to stop spending so much on transportation. Did I succeed? Yes, I succeeded in all of those except for the second one. So the second one was put $2,000 on debt and refinance my loans. I did refinance my loans, and I got a 3.54% interest rate instead of the 4.75 interest rate that I was paying. That'll save me about $3,000 in the long run, but I didn't end up putting extra money on that debt because it was in that like gray area when one of the loans was paying off the other loan, so it hadn't hit my account yet, so I only put $1,000 on them. I will be putting $2,000 in August as well, and that way that'll make up for it. So I did pretty much stop eating Grubhub at home alone, which is a good thing, except for ordering those donuts when I was hungover. And I definitely stopped spending so much money on transportation. For the entire month, I only spent $35 on transportation, which is pretty dang good. So In terms of goals for August, my goals are to put another $2,000 in debt, keep not ordering Grubhub when I'm drunk or hungover or by myself. Should be doing Grubhub for experiences, not for like, I'm lazy and I don't want to meal prep. And I also want to keep my dating expenses and entertainment expenses low. That'll be interesting because I am going to Michigan to visit some friends. So obviously my entertainment expenses will go up a little bit, but I might take that out of travel since my travel budget has been completely messed up this year with coronavirus. But I definitely want to keep my dating budget minimal. I don't want to invest in people that I don't know if it's going to be a long-term thing or not. I just want to get to know people, and then eventually if they become somebody that I want to date long-term, and then I can start investing in them a little bit more. So anyway, that's pretty much it for the July 2020 report. There's not a whole lot to report on, but those are my numbers, and I have some work to do, but I'm really excited about how far I've come. So yeah, let me know how your July 2020 budget went, and if you thought this was interesting, leave a comment below and hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And if this is the type of content you want to continue to see, be sure to hit that subscribe button. So thanks for watching. Check out the links below, and looking forward to the next video.